And his father killed these tens of thousands of people with gas.
Exactly.
So, given the ruthlessness of this regime, why should we believe Syria's foreign minister when they say they're willing to surrender control of chemical weapons?
Well, it's back to the point you raised. I mean, it would be with inspectors, and the UN would send in people. It proved to be very difficult in Iraq, as you obviously know. So, I mean, at some point, it's trust but verify, as Reagan used to say.
It was very fascinating to me, Charlie, and frightening to watch the two of you together. He went toe-to-toe with you at every step. And all